Welcome back to another episode of They Not Like Us. Today we have an incredible guest who's going to help you unlock your potential and scale your business to new heights. Martin Salama, also known as the architect of the Warriors LIFE code, is here to share his proven strategies for shifting from chaos and stress to clarity and abundance. For over a decade, Martin has helped entrepreneurs break free from being the bottleneck in their own success. And he's going to show you how to do the same by building a scalable, high ticket business. Get ready to dive into the mindset shifts, strategies, and real world tactics that can lead you to a 7-figure business within 2 years or less. You won't want to miss a minute of this conversation. Before we jump in, make sure to hit the subscribe button and leave us a review. It really helps the podcast grow and ensures you never miss out on future episodes packed with valuable insights like this one. Now, let's get into it.
Hello, welcome back to They Not Like Us. I'm your host, Aaron, and today I've got a special guest in Martin. Welcome to the show, Martin.
Hey, welcome. Thank you so much for having me, Aaron.
It's my pleasure, my pleasure. Can you tell people a little bit about yourself, please?
Sure. So my name is Martin Salama, and I come from Brooklyn, New York. And just in case you're wondering about my accent, somebody told me yesterday I sounded a little mafia-like. Like, forget about it. But yes, I'm from Brooklyn, New York. And I'm known as the architect of the Warriors Life Code. And for me, life is basically everything. I've turned that into an acronym for live incredibly full every day. Right? Because you should have a happy life and a meaningful life. You could be one without the other, or you could have neither. But it'd be great if you're happy, where you're self-love, self-care, even selfish, and meaningful, like you're doing out for others. Some people have a meaningful life or never happy, and vice versa. So that's where I started to create what I do now, and which is I help people shift their mindset from lack to abundance. I came out with a book about a year ago called Warrior to Warrior. I help people go from being worried into somebody who can take any adversity, figure out how to get through it. And recently I started a business where I help entrepreneurs and coaches get to 7 figures within 2 years guaranteed.
That's quite a feat, Martin. Is that what's kind of inspired it? What started you off on this framework and on this journey, really?
Okay, so what started me off on my journey of becoming a coach and doing all that? Well, I know you have probably on the younger side from me demographics. I don't know how many of your listeners might remember the financial crash of 2008. And that one really threw me for a loop. My wife and I were working on a project for 5 years to build a multi-million-dollar tennis club and health center in New Jersey. And it took us 5 years because there were so many things we weren't expecting. We had to find the land. We did a feasibility study and all these other things along the way. And then we went to the town. We're like, okay, we want to build this. Like, okay, show us the plans, do this, do that. We'd come back, do this, do that. And they finally, after 5 years, of the years of everything that we did, and $3.5 million in to get the engineering, the architecture and all that, they said, okay, we think you have a great project. We accept. Now, when this was all going on, I'd be talking to the banks and they're like, yeah, we love this project. It was 2005, 2006, 2007 even. They were loving it. They couldn't wait for it to happen. They were looking to lend me the money. Okay, so now it's the summer of 2008. And I go and I say, okay, great. I did it. I figured it out. We got it all done. We're ready to build. And they're like, yeah, man, we're not building right now. We're not lending. I'm like, what are you talking about? You guys were ready for me. They go, well, things are changing in the market. A month later, Bernie Madoff, the subprime loans, financial world falls apart, and I'm devastated. I've lost all the money I've put in, all the money I've gotten from investors I borrowed and everything else to get me to this point. And the banks are just like, nope, there's no money out there. You know what happened then. So I went into a depression for about a year. And during that time, I stopped paying my mortgage, stopped paying my car payments. A couple of months later, my son tells me, Dad, look outside. They were towing away my car. That's how bad it was. And it was a knock in the head for me. The house went into foreclosure. Luckily, there was so many foreclosures in the state of New Jersey that it took them about 9 years till they finally actually foreclosed on the house. So here I am. I'm in this depression for about a year, and it's obvious it's situational depression. But I went on medication. I was on Wellbutrin for a while. And after a while, I stopped paying my insurance. In America, you have to pay for your insurance, right? So stopped paying my insurance, and I couldn't afford to pay for my medicine because it wasn't covered by insurance because my insurance lapsed. So I looked at myself. I said, you know what? Do I really need these medications, or am I using it as a crutch? So I decided to stop taking it, and I worked on my mindset. So now I'm saying, okay, what do I want to do with my life? And I thought about it, and I always had been involved in community events, and I was always a leader. And people would come in and say, well, Martin, I can't do what you're doing. Like, but I don't need you to do what I'm doing. I need you to do what you're good at. So I would coach them and figure out what their potential was, what they were good at, and then they would contribute to that organization. I realized I was coaching people for free. So why not turn around and become one for real? So I looked into it. I found the coaching school, and about 2 months before it was time for coach training, it was my 24th wedding anniversary. And Aaron, my wife, gave me a very interesting gift that year. She said, I want a divorce. I'm like, man, there's 364 other days she could have said this to me. She had to pick our anniversary. Not too romantic, would you say?
That's a bit of a kick in the teeth, isn't it?
to put it mildly, and I felt every emotion you could imagine: abandonment, anger, sadness, lonely, everything you can imagine. And what came to my head is, why does everything happen to me? Why does everything keep happening to me? I lost all the money. I went through this. I'm picking myself up just to get knocked down again. And I remembered I still had made this commitment to go to this coach training. And I think God tapped me on the shoulder and said, you know what? You decided you want to go to coach training. You need to work on yourself too. And I decided, okay, I'm going to go anyway. And before I went, they sent me a list of books. They said, read a couple of the books on this list. And one of them was a book by Don Miguel Ruiz called The Four Agreements. You know that book, Aaron? No? So he basically comes up and he says, there's only 4 things you need to do in your life to really be great in your life. And it is, be impeccable with your words, don't take anything personally, don't make any assumptions, and always do your best. And when I heard that second agreement, don't take anything personally, I felt like he was talking directly to me, giving me a secret that people have been telling me my whole life, but until that moment, I wasn't ready to hear it. So I went into that coach training with an open mind, and they said to me, you don't have to be who you think you have to be. You could be whoever you want to be. I was like, wow, that's not the way I grew up. I grew up, my parents are like, this is what you should be doing, and blah, 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 and da-da-da, yes, mom, yes, dad. And I started to unravel that over the first 50 years of my life, I was almost 50 at this point, I was a people pleaser. All I ever did was try to please everybody else. And I found out that I pleased nobody, not even myself. So all these things started coming out. And I realized that I was in the right place at the right time. Going through coaching while I was going through my divorce was what I needed at that moment. And I came out of coach training and I decided to become a divorce recovery coach to help people recover from the emotional, ups and downs, roller coaster of being in a divorce. And I started doing that and was having a great time doing stuff. And all of a sudden I recognized that I was changing even more. I was more aware. I was loving myself, which I hadn't done for who knows how long. I was even liking myself, and I was ready to start dating. And I started dating, and when I went out on these dates, because of the things I learned in coaching, I was looking for the values that the woman that I was with had on the date. Because I realized going through my first, once I understood what values really were, Aaron, my wife and I, our values were never in sync. And we were in a very deeply codependent relationship. And I had to change something. And I wasn't changing it to make her happy or to get her back. It was about I needed to change who I was. And like I said, I found that I was a people pleaser. I found that I took everything personally. Also, that I was a control freak. And I needed people to always say, Martin, you're great, and give me the recognition. And when all those things didn't happen, I had a very short temper. So I had to completely reinvent myself. And it took a while. And I think looking back now, realizing that if it didn't take a while, it wouldn't have stuck. And it stuck. So I started changing myself, and I decided I'm going to start helping people. And I was doing things like crazy things, like meditating. And Aaron, we talked before, I'm ADHD. Could you imagine an ADHD guy meditating?
Yeah, it's difficult to go down that road and start, trying to calm that mind that's always overworking.
It's all over the place. But in one of these meditations, and it was one of those, it was this company called Headspace, which was guided meditation. And it was great, English voice, man from England voice, a great voice, calming and everything. And I couldn't even get through the 10 minutes, but I would sit there. My mind would be all over the place. And one of these days, I had this download of information that I was loving my life, and I wanted to show other people how to do that too. And that's where the LIFE acronym came into, live incredibly full every day. So I started coaching around that. And then I was dating. I met a woman, and she checked off all my values boxes. And about 2 months in, I turned to her, I said, I got to tell you something. And I don't need to hear it from you. It wasn't even 2 months. It was about a month and a half. I'm falling in love with you because I love exactly who you are and that you're not trying to change me. And I'm very happy to say we've been married for 6 years now.
Brilliant. And that's testament, and it's finding yourself first and being comfortable with who you are before you, and not putting that, your happiness onto somebody else.
Exactly. So that's where I've been. That's where, my mindset has been. It's where, so then all of a sudden, another crazy thing happens in the world in 2020, right? Some disease comes around, shuts down the entire world. Something called COVID, right? Remember that, Aaron? Not so long ago.
Oh, yeah.
And now everybody's holed up in their house, right? And me, every day I find a reason to get out of the house. I'd put on the gloves. I'd put on the mask. I'd stay 6 feet apart. I'd go shopping. I'd go for a walk. Because the ADD would have just gotten to me, ADHD. And we're about 2 months in, and they said it was only going to be 2-3 weeks that we were going to be locked down. But now it's May, and we're still locked down. And I live in Brooklyn, New York. And I turned to my wife, and I said, let's take the kids and go to New York City, to Manhattan. So we did. Now, I can imagine what the traffic like is in England, but I know what it's like here in New York. Getting down a street could take you forever. Well, that day, we drove straight down Fifth Avenue without missing a traffic light. That's how few people were outside. And I'm looking at my wife, I said, where is everybody? What is everybody so worried about? And then it hit me. It's not that they're worried, it's that I'm not worried. And I'm not worried because I've just been through a lot of hell. And I've come out stronger. And that's how the name of my book came out. Because I went onto Facebook, I said, guys, let me show you how to go from being a warrior to a warrior. And I started teaching people or coaching people on these different outcomes and how to shift their mindset and how to not get angry so much and stop reacting and start responding. And I got some great traction from it, and people were loving it. So I wrote the book as a way of helping other people as well. And along the way, I know I'm talking forever. That's me. I'm a talker.
I love it.
Along the way, I would get into these coaching programs to show me how to take my program and impact a lot of people, make a ton of money. And I would get into these programs, and I'm like this guy, they call it shiny object syndrome. Oh, I got to have this. Oh, this is great. I got to have it. Oh, squirrel, That's me. I see that thing. I'm like, oh, this is going to be the best thing. And I get in, and then all of a sudden I realized it wasn't what they said it was going to be. They got me in. They said it was going to be done for you, done with you. And really what it was done to you. And I realized it was a bait and switch. And I said, you know what? I got to build a better mousetrap. I got to put this together the right way. So I came up with a coaching program to help people get to 7 figures within 2 years, guaranteed. And the guarantee comes in saying, I'm going to coach you on results, not on just information. The beginning is the information. We got to get you going. We got to get you done. So I'll charge you 12.5% of my entire fee. And the rest of it comes in when you start making money. And then we take it from there.
Yeah, I've been down that rabbit hole with a lot of these online courses and things where people, often the ones who are really, really good at marketing are not actually very good coaches or very good at delivering, but they're really good at marketing. So they get you through the door, but then you get in and then it's hopeless, right?
Exactly. Exactly right. So I said, let me make it where I'm showing the people that I'm there for them as much as they're there for them, if not more. And that's how I build my business.
Has it always been online stuff, Martin, or has it been in person, or how do you kind of deliver your coaching?
Well, for now, it's online stuff, but it's also what I like to do is I do one-on-one coaching in a group setting. Because the other people in the room that are there, not only are they going to learn from the question for the person that's in the spotlight, but they also might have some invaluable information that they can give. Or they may come up with a question that somebody else didn't think of, and now everybody's benefiting from being in the room, in the Zoom together, as it were.
Yeah, what's the biggest kind of bottleneck that's holding most people back then in this kind of areas, becoming, I take it they're all either already entrepreneurs or want to leave their job and become entrepreneurs.
Right.
What's the kind of common themes that you get with what they're struggling with?
Yeah. So it's very interesting you say that, because what I think is like this. To get a business off the ground and to get it to be where it's successful, even a modicum of success, moderately successful, you have to have the right system, right? What's the nuts and bolts? It doesn't mean that it's cookie cutter, but if you have the guideline and the outline for it, it's a beginning, right? And that it can get you to six figures, maybe. Then comes the next part, which calls right into what you're talking about there, Aaron. You have to have the right mindset. It doesn't matter how good my program is, and it doesn't matter how good I am. If you don't believe in yourself, the other things if you believe in me and you believe in my program, it's not enough. So I've added the part of having your mindset to believe in yourself, believe in your ability, and believe in what you're doing. So they get my course to watch, and then they come to the coaching calls, and we start off with mindset training for a little bit, and then we get to the nuts and bolts. And then to be able to, you got to take those two things and then use the third part, which is you've got to be scalable, right? Which means you have to understand what the word scalable means. What does it mean to scale? It doesn't mean, oh, today I have 10 customers, tomorrow I have 100 customers, and everything's hunky-dory. I've just made a 100%, 1,000% increase. How are they getting through your system? Who is helping you get them through your system? Because you could do everything alone. And I say it like this, you can go alone, but you can't grow alone. So you have to be, to me, scalable means you have to have the right people around you. You know the author Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's great, isn't he?
Yeah, he's pretty good.
Yeah. So he one time said, and I actually heard him say this live, I want to be the dumbest guy in my own business. And what he says is, I want to surround myself with the smarter people. I say, the people that know how work with and for the people that know why. Right? That's not minimizing the how people. No, they're extremely important. And they have the whys of why they're doing what they're doing. But they're experts in it. You have somebody who's an expert in social media, another one that's in marketing, another one that knows how to run your website and the CRM and the funnels and all that other stuff. But here's where I've been doing this for many years, but then I read a book a couple of years ago by a gentleman named Dan Sullivan, who's a business coach. And he wrote a book called Who, Not How. When you wake up in the morning and you say, how am I going to get this done? And how am I going to create this idea that I have? And how am I going to do this? You're asking the wrong question. The question should be, who am I going to get to do this for me? Right? Because if you're going to spend 5 hours doing something, let's say you're worth $200 an hour, right? Your time is worth $200 an hour, and you spend 5 hours doing that, you just wasted $1,000 of your own man hour time. Imagine if you go out and found a professional who knows exactly what you want to get done and can pop it out in 2 hours at $100 an hour. Now you've saved $800, right? But more importantly, you're focusing on your zone of genius, and you're letting them focus on their zone of genius.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And you know, that's what all the best companies do. They hire the best people, right? And that's how they, you know, that's how they continue to grow and develop and do what they do.
Right. But those small entrepreneurs say, I can't afford to do that. And my answer is, you can't afford not to do it.
Yeah. And you look at all these, sorry, a bit of audio issue. You look at all these successful small business, you know, companies that start and do really well. Very, very few of them are just a one-man army. They've all got a team. Even if they present as a one-man army, which, you know, a lot of these people do online, they've often got a team. Even if that's virtual assistant that they, you know, dip in and out, they've always got that kind of support doing tasks and saving them time and developing the business.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I believe that everybody these days has to have a coach in their life in some way, shape, or form. It could be a business coach. It could be a personal coach. You need someone who could be on the outside as an accountability partner, who could be objective and supportive and let you know when you're doing right and also when you're doing wrong. But they're doing it from an objective, supportive standpoint.
Yeah, and it's difficult that sometimes because people kind of tend to lean on family members or friends who don't always have, probably unfair to say, don't always have your best interest in heart, but they like to, you know, you fit in a particular box. This is who you are.
Right.
And if they see you stretching out and out, growing somewhere else, they may not necessarily be comfortable with it. So it's not that they try and stop you, but they just more comfortable with you being who you are. So they kind of
Right. And whether they mean it or not, or whether you recognize it or not, they're being judgmental. Right. And you need somebody around you who's not judgmental, who's going to be supportive and be objective and say, well, how have you thought about this? And what are the consequences of this? Instead of you getting beaten down by your wife or your family member saying, you don't know what you're talking about. I remember when I first told one of my family members that I was going to become a life coach. One of my sisters turned to me. She said, "You're going to be a life coach?" Like, boy, thanks for all the support, sis.
Yeah, that's the way it can go, right? And that's the way it often goes with until you're actually getting results. Then you know, them family members and friends, they're not really going to see, you know, see the potential in it, really.
Yeah, exactly right. So
You know,
yeah,
they all want you to get a job, don't they? Get a good job, do that.
yeah. That mindset was good for the 60s, 70s, 80s, even the 90s. It's kind of changed a lot now. Well, go to school and get a good job. Now, I'm not saying don't go to school, but you know, make sure that you know what you want to do. And the best thing is, if you can find something you can be happy doing, then you're never working.
Yeah, I mean, some people are happy enough working a job, right? They, you know, that's what they want to do. They're happy living that lifestyle, and you know, 9 to 5, come home, you know, maybe do a hobby, and that's about it, and just rinse and repeat. But
Yeah,
just,
but they're
you
not
know,
like us.
they're not like us. They're not like us. There's, you know, and a lot of us, like me included, and I imagine all of your clients feel like they want more out of life and they want to achieve more, and you know, there's that constant burning desire that, you know, until they achieve something,
Mhm.
they're just not happy, really.
Right, right, exactly. And that's where that middle part of understanding your own self-worth, self-confidence, and self-love comes in, that I talked about earlier. Having the belief in yourself. Because it's easy to wake up in the morning and say, I got to go to work. I can't do this. I can't afford that. It's easy to do those things. It's easy to rationalize that those things are okay. But I look at the word rationalize, Aaron, that it's really 2 words. Rational lies. That you're lying to yourself, that it's rational to say that this isn't working or I'm not going to do this, even though you know that's what you should be doing.
Yeah, and it's because as well, like it's ingrained in us, isn't it? We go to school, oh, you got to get a job, you got to do this, you got to get a mortgage, pay your house, and it's kind of, it becomes what society expects of us, and we kind of fall in line with it a lot. And step out of that, it takes a lot of courage.
Right. Absolutely. So yeah, that's where we are. It's about stepping out of yourself and being willing to recognize what is it that you want and how are you going to go about getting it. And one of the things I talk about in my course and then what I teach is a variation of the law of attraction. Right? The law of attraction.
Yeah.
What you think about will come to you. Right? Well, you attract what you think about. Now, there is a certain truth to that. But for it to really be something that works, you've got to look at it at a deeper level. So I put together what I consider is like a deeper version of this. And I call it the cycle of A's. Okay? Because I believe it works in a perpetual motion. The first A is ask for what you want. And Aaron, it could be as simple as waking up in the morning and saying, I had this great idea. I'm going to host a podcast. Okay? Now, what happens next is, are you going to host it? And if you are, what are you going to do about it? That's the second A, act. So Aaron, one day you woke up and you said, I think I want to do a podcast, right?
Right, yeah.
So what'd you do?
Microphone.
There you go. You acted. You did the second A. You acted and you started figuring out, what are the things I need to do to be put on my podcast? What's it going to look like? What's the title going to be? What's the story going to be about? And, it could be something from somebody wakes up in the morning. How many people see an idea, see a product, and they go, oh, my God, I thought of that product. I should have done that.
Yeah.
Right? Have you done that, Aaron?
I've done that. Yeah, you have this great idea, and you think it is a great idea. It might well be a great idea. Never have any follow-through on it, right?
Right, exactly. And then somebody does it, and they're making millions, and like, damn, I thought of that. Why didn't I do that? That's because you didn't act. All you did was think about it. So that's the second A. And the last A is you have to have an attitude of that you don't care about emotionally the outcome that's going to come. Because when you're emotionally tied to the outcome, you're basically telling the law of attraction in the world, the universe, that you don't deserve it or that you want it too much and that nothing else matters. But if you put it into the mindset of, okay, this is going to happen, I'm doing everything right and I'm just moving along and it's part of it, it'll come to you more times than not. And when it's not, you have to say to yourself, maybe I need to make a course correction. So many times I've heard people say, I've prayed to God and I've asked for things and he never answered. And my answer is, he did answer. You weren't listening. He said no. And that's your cue to maybe make a course correction.
Yeah, sometimes we don't think things through properly either. Sometimes we just jump on the first thing. I've been guilty of it myself. I jump on something and think, oh, this person's that's doing this, I'm going to do this. And you kind of become a copycat, really.
Right.
Rather than find out who you are and just be yourself and do your own thing. And I think there's so much more power in that once you do find out who you are and start, pursuing the things that actually have some meaning to you.
100%. I agree with you 100% with what you're saying, Aaron. So this is where I am in my life. I'm helping people move forward using that three things, the system, the mindset, and scalability. And by following a certain system, I've even gotten to the point where I figured out where in the beginning, when I first started this program, I'd get a new client and we'd sit down and we'd have a session, like a launch session, figuring out what's the roadmap, how are we going to get you from point A to point B, where are you from where you are now, and what are you looking to be, and all that. And then it would be a few months to get them to the next level, figuring out who's their right fit client, what the outcomes they're going to get for their people, how do they present themselves, and what is a blueprint. But thanks to the miracles of modern technology, my team and I have built out some ChatGPT AI programs, and I can get somebody through that part of it within an hour. We sit down, put in the information, we've built it already, the prompts in there, and boom, 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 we can help them get there. And then after that, it's about helping them go through the rest of it so that they can have some quick wins. So what I've done now is I've created a way for people to get an idea of what this is about. And I do a 4-hour deep dive workshop about once a month. And what I did was I realized there's people out there doing these webinars and workshops for 45 minutes. And they're saying, okay, come to this. It's free. And at the end, we'll give you, you'll know everything. And really at the end, they give them a link to get them to learn more and learn more and learn more. So I decided, number one, people don't come to free workshops, free webinars. They sign up for them, but they don't come because they're not invested in it. So instead, if you charge them even $27, they'll come more often than not. And then I said, you know what? How about if I charge them $27 and the money goes to charity? So I built a philanthropic workshop. That's philanthropic in 2 stages. Stage 1, they get in and the money goes to what I picked out an organization called the Gift of Life. What they do is they swab people's cheeks, and then if somebody needs a transplant or bone marrow or stem cells, they can match them. And I'm fortunate enough to be somebody who donated my stem cells and saved someone's life that I never met in my life. And it costs a lot of money for this Gift of Life to do that, so the money goes to that. And then it's philanthropic on the other side, because in this 4-hour workshop, you remember the scene in The Wizard of Oz when the dog is pulling back the curtain and he says, don't pay attention to the man behind the curtain. No, yeah. I'm ripping the curtain open and I'm going to show you everything behind the curtain. In the 4 hours, I say like this: if you don't show it in your workshop, don't have it in your business. If you have it in your business, show it in your workshop. So over the 4 hours, I'm going to show you all the things that we do. And then at the end, if you stay till the end, I'm going to give you the recording. And if you're nice enough to leave me a recommendation on LinkedIn, I'll give you the slides as well. Now, why am I doing that? Because I believe that in what I'm doing so much that the people are going to say, this is great. I want to learn more about it. And I want to get deeper with Martin and I want to get there faster. So I'm going to join up with him. And if they don't, it's been great knowing you. Thanks for coming to my workshop. Best of luck. I'm here to help you however I can.
Yeah, I've been on a lot of them free webinars, I've spent a lot of time going through free webinars, and a lot of the time what I get frustrated about is they don't actually teach you anything. It's just a long video sales letter that it's it just a VSL really.
Just a tease.
Yeah. If they actually gave you something of value, you'd probably pay more attention. You're probably more likely to buy at the end of it, but they very rarely give you anything worthwhile.
Right. Because to them, it's free. But I believe like this: if you pay, you'll pay attention. Right. And I'm saying the payment I'm even taking is going to a donation. So I'm not making any money on that part because I believe in myself. I believe in my product. I believe in what I program here enough that even if at the end of it, you don't do it, you've walked away with actionable items that you can use in your business.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And that's what people want from it, isn't it? They want that initially. And if you do give them that, the chances of them actually working with you are a lot higher anyway, because, they've actually got some value from it rather than just being sold for an hour and
right.
teased about what you might get.
Exactly. And then I back it up by saying, only pay me 12.5% now. And don't pay me another dollar until you're making money. And we have it this way. You decide when you think it's the right time to pay me. We come up with a payment schedule, but if you've gotten to the level that you think you should be at and you haven't hit the numbers you want, okay, wait to pay me the next thing. And then we'll go from there. But I'm building what I call a risk reversal strategy because the risk is now on me. How much, Aaron, do I want to get you over the finish line?
Yeah, and it shows that you back yourself as well, doesn't it? Because, you're not trying to get the money up front and then you're taking a small percentage really of the grand scheme of things and then working with them, you're trying to earn alongside them really. So,
right. I want to build
success.
a raving fan. I want to build somebody who says, oh my God, this guy's great. I love him. He loves me. We're going to figure out how to do other things together. And I got to tell other people about this because he's the real deal. But to be the real deal, you got to be the real deal.
Yeah, and I think that's why it's important to have that your success is tied to their success, really.
Exactly. Because then we both want to work for each other. I want to make sure that you're getting the best out of what you're learning from me. And if not, tell me why and tell me how I can make it better. And then when I do make it better and you're making money, you're like, okay, he delivered.
Yeah, and them results are priceless, to be honest, aren't they? To finally get somebody who's actually going to help, because I imagine you're not going to be the first person they come to, with the amount of
Yeah.
stuff that's out there, and speaking from personal experience, the amount of stuff that I've looked at and tried myself, you're probably not going to be the first person they come to, but if you're actually, supporting them and giving them this, opportunity, and you're showing that you're successful type of their success and all that kind of stuff, I think it's probably a breath of fresh air in the
Right.
way that the coaching industry is at the minute.
Exactly. And I believe in duplicating, but duplicating with each one building their own model based on the duplication, right? So for example, I told you I do a 4-hour workshop. At some point, I'm going to build for my clients a 4-hour workshop. It's a done for them with their input, but I do all the back end work. And it'll look a lot like mine, but they'll be really geared towards for them and for their audience. And as well, there's a thing out there called a CRM. Some people in your audience might not know what that is. That's client retention management. Okay. It's the things like ClickFunnels out there, or GrooveFunnels, or all these things that you use to keep your clients and wanted to have them retain them. So I use a company called Go High Level. And when they come in, when they get to a certain point, we give them in the program, they're not paying extra for it. It's part of the program, their own Go High Level program. And then we give them the templates that we've been using and show them how to change it, and even give them the support, because most of them don't know how to use it anyway. I don't know how to use it, but I have a team that does. So we should then show them how to find the team that can do the things they need to do.
Yeah, it's actually quite amazing bit of software, and Go High Level, actually, but it's really, really good.
Oh, I'm speaking to the choir.
Yeah, I've used it before, and the things it can do, and it's constantly developing and stuff. And like you say, if you've got somebody with a tried and tested, templates and system that works, that is willing to share that with you, then it's even better, really, because it saves you so much work.
Right. In their lexicon, they call it the snapshot. If you could take the snapshot from them and put it in yours, boom, most of the work is done. It's then going in and fixing it. And if you don't know how to do that, we'll show you how to do it. We'll get you the right people to help you do it. Today, you can get VAs for next to nothing all over the world.
Yeah, I think, and a lot of people use VAs, right? No,
yeah,
you use
more and
VAs
more
yourself?
every day. Well, the person that I hired originally to be my VA is now a partner of mine. She's also my fractional COO. But she started off as somebody who was showing me how to develop my business, how to develop my presence and all that. And as we got to know each other and realized her values, she became more of a partner. And now she's a partner in my business.
Yeah, it's brilliant. I've never used any myself, but a lot of people do, and a lot of people rave about the quality of work they get and the support that they get, and the value that they can bring, really, to your business.
Absolutely.
Do you get any of your clients to use VAs, or do you guide them differently?
Well, it depends. Some of them, they get some support from us, depending on how much they need. And then if it's beyond what we're able to do in a certain time frame, we help them find the right VA for them. There are many companies out there, and there's many different ones, but we try to vet them for them.
Yeah, I suppose that's half the battle, because that's the thing, and it is knowing where to look and where to. Otherwise, it's going to be a lot of trial and error. You're going to be getting ones that potentially are not scratch or not doing what you need them to do.
Right. And over the time, I've built up a network of people. If someone comes to me with something that I don't know, I probably know somebody who could answer the question. So I'll connect them. Whether it helps me or not, I don't care. It's not about that. It's about helping the other person. And maybe one day I'll call them up and say, by the way, can you help me with this? And if I don't, I don't. But it's not about a quid pro quo. Someone's got an issue, let me help you get through it.
Yeah, and it helps to have them connections as well, doesn't it? And have that network, especially if you're starting out. You don't have a network really, so you start from scratch and building up, and leveraging your network to help them is probably very, very valuable, really.
Mm-hmm. Yes, indeed.
Yeah, you help a lot of the obviously new entrepreneurs who are starting up and stuff like that. How long do people generally stay with you as a rule? If they
my program is only about a year old right now. And the people that are in my program have been with me the whole time. Nobody's left yet. One person left because he's like, to tell you the truth, I love him as a person, but he wasn't getting anything done. He was coming up with excuses all the time, and he was looking to fail. I'm like, man, I can't help you. It's not about, I don't want your money. It's not about the money. I mean, the money's great and I want it, but under the right conditions. So, yeah. And I'm looking at these people, once they get to their $1 million, to their 7 figures, it's not the end of the road, even though they may not be paying me anymore because they paid me everything if they hit the $1 million. But we're building a relationship. We're building a business friendship, and we're looking for other ways to JV with each other, or to refer other people, or to come up with ways of working together.
Yeah, is it? Do you ever vet your client before they start? Do you see if they're a good fit, or because I can imagine, some people probably, if they're not committed to it, or if they're going to be extra difficult, then they might just not be a good fit for you as a coach.
So as I've been building this, I'm becoming more and more discerning as to who I let into the program. It used to be in the beginning, as I was taking off, and even though it looked great to me, and even though I believed in it, there was still that little part of me that didn't know if it was really going to work. So I did a little bit of that old pitch and pursue type of mentality. Oh yeah, this is great. Come on, come on, come on. And then as I got in it and I saw people like this one I told you about, I realized I need to be a little more discerning as to who I let in. And I want it to be at the end of it where they go, let's say they come to my workshop and they go, I'm in if you'll have me. Right? Where they're asking me more than me asking them. Right? And then I have a call with them and set up a strategy session to go a little deeper to see what's driving them. And I'll ask them questions on that call to see if they're really cut out for what I'm looking for. And I'm looking to see if there's a connection there. Right? Are they coachable? Are they willing to make the sacrifices that might be needed in the beginning? And it's not a financial sacrifice. They're already making that payment. They already pay me the 12.5%, right? If they want to come that far. But before I take it, I want to make sure that they're going to do what they say they're going to do. So yeah, there is a bit of a vetting program, because that call is not just about them seeing if they want to work with me. It's about me seeing if I want to work with them.
Yeah, I suppose you got to weigh up. So some people will expect, they're going to pay you the money and think that you're going to do it all for them. Where in reality, you're there to guide and support and help them along the way, but they've got to put in the work, really.
Right. I'm going to do a lot, but they've got to do a lot too. And the point of it is I want them to get to a point where they have a more profit and more life. Right. The life part comes in when you start to get scalable, so that you can turn around and build success partners around you in your business who can do the things that you need them to do, so that everybody gets what they need to do. And they can figure out exactly what's happening. Make sense?
Yeah, that scalable part is important as well, because a lot of people who are wanting to be entrepreneurs, a lot of it is for that ability to have that freedom. Not to mean you're not going to work hard, but you can have that bit of freedom in your business where, you're earning money when you're not necessarily at work. You can be flexible with your time, a little bit more flexible. Not to say you don't put the hours in or the work in, but you can be a bit more flexible about when you do them hours and where you do them hours,
exactly.
location-wise as well.
I say, how great would it be if you could take 7 days off in your business and not have to look at it, not have to look at an email, and it's still going and growing?
Yeah, that's the dream, right?
Right. So that's what I build. I help people build that.
Yeah. How do you help people then? Because like a lot of people at the start, even if they get a bit of success, right, a lot of it is they just putting out fires. They just kind of stuck working in the business. How do you get them, that advice to kind of pull away and take them first steps of putting systems and processes in place?
So yeah, I think that goes back to what the whole reason to have the one-on-one coaching in a group setting. Because that's where the people bring in the issues and we help them get through it. And if they need a little extra TLC, okay, we'll have a call separate. But it's really about bring your issues here. Don't hide anything. Everybody's here to support you. And, when you get to a certain level in the business, where you've in your own business and you've created something, I'm going to put you into a mastermind. a true Napoleon Hill style mastermind, which is not one guy leading the 7 people or 8 people that are in the room telling them what to do. No, this is 6, 7, 8 people in a room, in a Zoom, let's say, and everybody's contributing. Somebody's in the spotlight. This is my issue this week. And everybody gives them ideas and works with them. Then the next person goes into the spotlight. Same thing. It's not one guy leading the train, but they're like-minded, they're entrepreneurs, and they're looking to help themselves as well as help others.
Yeah, that, like I said, that's probably as valuable, if not more valuable, than the one-to-one stuff, because you've got all these different perspectives, different ideas, different experiences that you can share, and challenge each other as well, potentially, to do more.
Exactly right.
So, what do you see the future holding for you then, Martin? What kind of direction is your business going to go from where it's at now?
So for me, I used to say I want to make millions of dollars, which is great. But really what I want to do is I want to impact thousands and millions of people. And as a result, the money will follow, right? Because if that's happening, and if I'm helping 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 100 entrepreneurs get to 7 figures and beyond and get their message out there and make an impact in the world, that's what I'm looking to do. Get people who want to fulfill that entrepreneurial dream and not make it just a dream, make it a reality where they can have what they want, how they want, when they want, and whatever it is they want.
Do you find a lot of them come in not knowing what they want?
Yes. And that's what's important with that first strategy call. We pull out, what's the reason why? What is your why? And to me, I break down why into an acronym. What's hurting you? What's keeping you up at night, right? And let's figure out what that is. And what is it that you want to do if you would get to that? It's not, oh, I want to make $1 million. Great, make millions of dollars. But what are you going to do about it when you get there? What's your life going to look like?
Yeah, that's the problem, right? You get all the money, but if you've not, sorted your life out, how you want your life to be, how you want it to look, your mindset and stuff, it's still going to be miserable if you're already miserable.
Exactly.
Yeah, it take the financial pressure off, obviously, but
No
you
question.
still have you still have the other stuff. If you still, if it's not what you want to be doing, or you don't feel fulfilled still in yourself,
Then you'll be
you're never going to
miserable.
be happy, right?
Yeah, you'll be miserable.
Yeah. Do you find a lot of people struggle with that part of it, that mindset part of it, the fight of themselves part of it? Because they just want to get to the business bit and just make money. Do they struggle at that start?
They do. And it's not only themselves beating them up. Somebody will tell them, well, that's not going to work. And that negative energy gets into them and they start to question themselves and question what they're doing. So that's when they come back to me and I'm like, okay, let's write the shit. Let's figure out what's going on. And, somebody came to me, they said, oh, I've been in this program before, in a similar program. I go, yeah, did they guarantee you results? What's their guarantee look like? Oh, there's no guarantee. How much did you pay? Oh, I paid $50,000. And what did you get for it? Not much. Okay, well, I'm not telling you to pay me $50,000. I'm saying pay a little bit of it and then don't pay me again until I'm making money because I'm guaranteeing you the results. So we're in it together.
Yeah, a lot of people as well, they want that level of confidence as well because, when you're starting out, you might not have that confidence until you start getting some sort of result. You always have that, even if you are a confident person, you'll always have that bit of doubt until it starts showing some sort of signs of success, right?
Yep, absolutely. And this is something that I talk about a lot, is that don't dismiss. Now you're trying to change your mindset, you're trying to believe things, and things start happening. And you're going to say, oh, it's just a coincidence. One has nothing to do with the other. Sorry. Everything has to do with everything. I don't believe in coincidences. If it's happening, it's because of what you're putting out there. It's the energy you're putting out there. It's the mindset. It's the ask, and attitude that you have. Ask, act, and attitude that you have that's making things work. And build on it. And say, okay, let's see what else we can do.
Yeah. A lot of what I do, in this podcast, I've spoke to doctors, coaches, people from all different walks of life, therapists. And it always comes back to mindset. Always. But no matter what people are trying to do, try to achieve, mindset is always at the heart of it or the start of it.
Yep. Every time somebody says I can't, they're right. They can't. If you say you can or you say you can't, you're right. it's because you're starting off the right way or the wrong way. By saying you
Yeah.
can't, it's the wrong way.
Well, it shows how powerful the mind is, right? You just got to look at the placebo effect. You take a drug that
Exactly.
you think is going to help you, that might not be a drug. It can actually help you because your mind believes it can, and you start having
That's
that
it.
effect on the body. So it's incredible,
Exactly
right?
right. 100%. I love that. 100%.
Yeah. So it always amazes me. That's something that I've worked on a lot, and I'm still work on. It's something you all have to continue to work on, your mindset. It is not something that is just, just done and goes away. It gets better, but you can always keep working on it and improving it, I think, in my opinion. But yeah. So mindset is something you've got to continually work on. Is that something you continually work on with your clients, or is it something that you just do at the start and then?
You know what? I'd love to say that even I always have perfect mindset, but it's not possible. There are things that will come in your way that will knock you down. And it's how quickly do you get up from it? And how do you react? Instead of react, how do you respond? And that's what it's about. I mean, I had a client of mine I've been working with him for a bunch of years, and he's made unbelievable strides. And then over the last few weeks, he's had some major setbacks. And I'm very close with his whole family at this point. I've known them for a few years. And his mom called me up saying, I don't trust him anymore. I said, wait a minute. He had a slip. He had things really go bad around him, and let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater. Let's see if what happened is a one-off, or how is he going to bounce back from it? And I told him the same thing straight to his face. I said, your mom's concerned about you. Is this something that you're falling back into the old habits? Or is this just a one-off that you're going to have to learn from and grow? He goes, no, that's what it is. I said, okay. In a loving way, we're watching you. Let's see how you bounce back from this. Let's see how you take what happened, internalize it as quickly as possible, because I don't want you staying in the putty pool forever, and come out of it. And what's going to happen next? How are you going to show up next? He goes, you got it, man. I'm taking the challenge. So, okay, great. We're all lovingly watching you.
Yeah, and that support is key, as well, because your environment is so important. If you're, so I saw a thing with a doctor who's done a lot of research on, cynicism and negative bias.
Mm-hmm.
So what he's saying is, I don't know how true this is or what depth of research he's gone into, but essentially what they're saying is all humans have this negative bias. So, some cultures more than others. So in the UK, we are very, very negative biased. Whereas in the States, it's a much more positive, we can do it attitudes, as a general rule.
Right.
I know I'm generalizing that as a general
No, that's
rule.
okay. I call it, we all have ants. A-N-T. Ants. Automatic negative thoughts. Right?
Yeah.
If something comes up, you're automatically thinking of every which way it's going to go wrong, or that it's going to bite you in the ass, excuse my language. Instead of looking for the problems, you've got to move your mindset to look for the opportunities and say, why is this showing up and what am I going to do about it? That's where I was. Earlier in the conversation, we talked about when my wife asked for the divorce, and I said, why is everything happening to me? That was my way of blaming everybody else for what was going on. Blaming my wife, blaming my family, blaming the industry, blaming the economy. Now I say, everything happens through me. That's me taking responsibility for what's going on. Good, bad, and indifferent.
Yeah, I try to detach. So I'll try and detach some situations that are negative and try to, take stock really and try to soothe myself and just realize, and just approach it in a logical manner because, that happens, doesn't it?
Yeah,
ultimately. Yeah. And we just got to deal with it. How do we deal with it is what really matters. How you
100%.
approach that problem, because we're all going to get problems. It's just a case
Right.
of how do we deal with it? How do we move forward from here? Because life goes on. We just got to figure out a way to keep moving forward, right?
Yep, 100%. There's a woman who I consider a mentor now from the UK. She wrote a book. I want to find it. Here it is. Her name is Genevieve Davis. Okay? And she wrote a book called Magic Words and How to Use Them. Now, I was following this woman for a few years from like 2014 on. And she had these little books called about magic. And I've incorporated a lot what she said into my own life and into my coaching. And a few years afterwards, like in 2019, she sent out at the end of 2019, she sent out an email to her email list saying, I think I want to coach some people. So I'm thinking, this is somebody I look up to. I would love the opportunity to coach with her. So I made an appointment thinking I was going to get an assistant or something, and it was her. And after about 10 minutes, we both said, oh, I've got to take this program. And she charged very little for it. And started working. And this book in particular, Magic Words and How You Use Them, she started using using myself and the other people that were in her program as the test to see if what she was writing in this book would really work. So she started working with me on it. And she said, come up with something that's been bothering you and the way you think about it. So we worked on it. And first I didn't get it right. And finally I did. And I said, I have a lot of issues with my ex-wife, to the point that my daughter barely speaks with me, my youngest daughter. I feel like all she ever does is talk badly about me, almost to make me like the devil incarnate. She says, okay, why don't you try to reframe that? She's got a lot of issues with your daughter. She's on the spectrum. She's on the autistic spectrum, very high functioning, but on the spectrum. And I started thinking about it to myself, saying, you know what? She's really got it hard, my ex-wife. Even though she got married again, I got married again. She's got it hard. She has my daughter living with her. It's a lot of pressure on her. Maybe I'm just projecting what she's thinking. And I should give her the benefit of the doubt, so on and so forth. That week, I got a call. I called my daughter. And usually at that moment when I was calling my daughter, I would be lucky if I had a 1-minute conversation with her. And they were usually one-word answers. Now, I didn't tell anybody what I was thinking. I just told it to myself that I'm going to approach this in a different way, in my own mindset. That day, I had a 15-minute conversation with my daughter, the longest one I'd had in a long time. She was engaged. She was into it and everything. At the end of the conversation, now she lives about an hour away from me. I said, we haven't seen each other in a long time. I'd love to get together. Can I come out there and see you? She's like, yeah, we made plans. We started seeing each other every couple of weeks. And this was going on for a few months. And one day my ex tells me, she's really great with you. And then she gets home and she's not so good. She goes into her room and she shuts down. I said, okay, I hear you. So we went out that day, my daughter and I, and she came back. We came back and I told my ex, and I told my daughter when I was out, look, when you come home, don't go into your own shell. Mom is feeling bad that you, whatever. She said, okay. So I told my ex, call me as I'm driving back. It's an hour drive after I leave because I don't want to talk in front of our daughter. And let's have a talk. And when she called, I said, I want to just let you know. I see what you're doing with our daughter. And I want you to know that it doesn't go unrecognized. And I spoke with her about what we talked about. And I just want to thank you for the way you're taking care of our daughter. That I had just opened up the floodgates and we talked for an hour. After that, opening up things, unbelievable. And my relationship with my ex-wife got better. My relationship with my daughter got better. All because I changed the way I was thinking about things. And then she wrote this book, this magic work. This Genevieve Davis wrote this book. And I told her what happened with me. And she put me in the book, in the whole example. She changed my name and my daughter's name and my wife's name, my ex-wife, just, but it was unbelievable. That's how much she was excited about that whole thought of just take something that's bothering you and reframe it and think about it in a different way.
Yeah. Power of the mind, right?
Exactly. Exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah. And that's why I invite. Sorry, go on.
Go ahead and get this book, Magic Words and How to Think About Them and How to Use Them. Genevieve Davis.
Yeah,
she's a UK lady.
I'll have a look at that, definitely.
All right, man.
But
so yeah,
it's important though, that mindset, and that's why environment's important as well, because going back to what that doctor was saying about we all got that negative mindset, or you call it ants. Yeah, if we surround ourselves with a lot of people and a lot of negativity that's adding to that, that's coming in, and we're having that input, it can make us really cynical, and it can really ingrain them thought patterns rather than doing what you've done, whereas reframing it, looking at it from a different viewpoint,
Right.
from a more positive standpoint, really.
Exactly. And you got to start off every day with the right mindset. So I took my book. We talked about my book. And what I did was a few years ago, as I was writing my book, I realized I wanted to do something different. I wanted to have something more tangible. So I created a card deck. Okay. And in the card deck is a lot of these little principles that we talked about. But one of them is perfect in the mindset. And it's called the warrior mindset, positive thoughts and affirmations to always tell yourself. So just to give you, there's 20 things on here. I'm open and ready to be positive. I am smart. I'm kind. I believe in myself and my goals. No matter how hard it is, I can do it. Imagine you wake up every day and you say a few of these things to yourself as you're getting ready for the day. As you wake up in the morning, have gratitude. Have belief that things are going well. Look to thank people instead of to complain, and change that mindset and use some of those ideas to help you get the right mindset to get the day going.
Yeah, a lot of people do the start with gratitude kind of thing, don't they? That's never really worked for me. I need something a bit more
Okay.
a bit more solid. No, but I think you're on the right approach.
But
and
how do
stuff
you
like
do
that.
the gratitude? Let me ask you this. How do you do your gratitude?
But I don't, to be honest,
Okay.
because I tried it and it didn't work for me. But
Gotcha.
my point is, no, I like what you're doing. I just think it's the whole start with gratitude thing. If you just say start with gratitude, it's a little bit vague for me. I need something to tie it to, you know what I mean?
Okay, so let me help you make it more solid.
Specific.
How about if I help you make it more solid? Go out and get yourself a nice moleskin type of notebook like this. Not a piece of crap that you could throw around and not care about. Spend a couple of bucks to get this. This one actually somebody gave me as a gift. And every day when you wake up in the morning, just write down 3 things you're grateful for from the day before. It could even be I had a great night's sleep. Could be today I took a walk outside and it was beautiful. What a beautiful day. Whatever it is. Just write 3 things down every day. That's it. I'm not asking you to write a tome. I'm not asking you to write a War and Peace. 3 things that you can be grateful for. And just build on that. And it could be the same thing almost every day. But if you start off with that gratitude that way, it's not so what the word you use? Ambiguous. It's not so intangible.
Yeah, for me, it needs to be tied to something, and I find maybe it's just how my mind works. But when I do have any sort of when I show gratitude for stuff or when I appreciate stuff, it works much better for me if I can do it in and around a moment that I'm actually experiencing or living. If you know what I mean. So I don't know if I am out for a walk somewhere, the weather's nice, the view is nice, the scenery. Is to try and have that gratitude in that moment, of like actually taking stock and appreciating that. That works for me. That lands for me. But
Beautiful.
just the kind of just doing it abstract writing in a book doesn't kind of work for me. And I don't know why. I'm sure it works for lots of people, but for me, I need to have some sort of either moment or like a physical thing that I can hold, like a memory or something that will actually tie it, and then it kind of sticks in my mind, if you know what I mean.
Cool. So when that happens the next time, take a moment, enjoy it, take it in, be present in the moment. And however long it takes, enjoy the whole experience. Then as you're getting out of that experience, pull out your smartphone, take out your notes and write down, this was great. I really appreciate this. I'm so grateful I had that moment. Now it's not as abstract as it was before.
Yeah, I find doing that will stick in my mind better, you know what I mean? Whereas if I'm just writing in the book, after the fact, I don't have, maybe it's because I don't have the emotional tie in the moment to do that thing. But when you're in it or just after it, you've had that emotional tie and it's still there. And I think it just sticks in your mind that bit more for me.
Absolutely. I'm just throwing out ideas. Use them, don't use them, whatever. Like I said, don't leave the moment. Stay present in that moment. I'm talking about later. It's just a way of you having something to look back at. If it doesn't work for you, try something else.
Yeah, but I think it's important. I do think it's important, and it's important for everybody to find a way that works. And I'm sure, just writing it down and thinking about it works for a lot of people. It's for me, I'm slightly different, but I do think it's an important thing and an important practice.
Right.
Because I'm terrible for it. I'm quick to the negative, really quick to jump on the negative, and this is awful, this is bad. But how often do we take time to actually, appreciate and, think about what's good and what's going well and,
Right.
the stuff we have to be grateful for, really.
Right. So, yeah. So then all you need to do is every time you're in those moments, appreciate them, take them in all you can, and then look for other opportunities to get in them again. So that when the negative comes up, you have these in your database to go back to. It's just coming up with little things that might work for you.
Yeah, and that's it, right? Having more positive experiences. The more
Right.
positive experiences you can have, the more positive your mindset will become, really.
That's it. That's it. It builds on itself. It's all building on itself, one on top of the other. It's a snowball effect. You have a little snowball, let it roll down the mountain, it'll get bigger and bigger.
Yeah, and it can work both ways, right? So if you don't do
100%.
the positive, then the negative will take you the other way, and it can be really difficult then.
Exactly right. So yeah.
Okay. Martin, what's one thing, right, that you're clear about now that you weren't a year ago? So it could be absolutely anything in your life. One thing that you kind of
Clear about now that it was only a year ago that I wasn't so clear about?
Yeah.
Okay. So last year I was in the process of putting together the program we talked about. And as much as I thought it would work, there was still no proof of concept. Right? Now I have proof of concept. So my clarity is around the fact that I've put together a program that could change lives.
How was that journey, though, being to put that program together, that clarity? Has that been gradual, or is that something that just kind of clicked and like recently where you think, oh, yeah, I'm there now, this is it?
It's a little bit of both. There's graduals where things go, and then all of a sudden you'll be on a call with I'll be on a call in my group coaching call, and somebody will say, I just did this, and it's like, boom, it's working. All the incremental steps have now come together for that aha moment for me to say, okay, what I did is working. The idea is coming together. It's actually happening.
Yeah, that must be a nice moment when you feel like that's, things are coming together.
Exactly. More importantly for me, it's watching them have that aha moment that it's actually working.
Yeah. Do they appreciate it and realize it at the same time, or is that something that you pick up on first and you're like, well,
sometimes
6 months ago, you wanted to be here, you're here now. Because sometimes it's hard, isn't it, when you're in it and you gradually move forward, you lose track of actually, this was my goal, 3 months ago, and
right. Sometimes
I'm here now.
It all depends on the person and their awareness in the moment.
Yeah, it must be great for a coach, though. When you see them, following them steps, and that's what it's all about, right?
Nothing like it. Nothing like it. It's so fulfilling.
Yeah. Where can people find you, Martin, if they want to, find out a bit more about yourself, or get in touch with you, or maybe even jump on some of your coaching calls or whatever it might be?
Absolutely. So I made it very simple, Aaron. I have connectwithmartin.com. That's it. Connectwithmartin.com. Go there. You could find out about the workshop, find out about the book or the cards. There's even a button to make a free call with me if you want to have something you want to talk about. And there's also free gifts. You could get there, the cycle of A's, knock it to pull it down and see what that's about. Matter of fact, yesterday I was on a call with a gentleman who said, I downloaded your coloring book. I said, oh, that's funny. And I'm so excited that you did that. He goes, I actually was downloading it for my child, my 7-year-old daughter. And then I realized you had one for children and one for adults. I said, yeah, right. Adults could have some fun too. And then I told him the secret. You're allowed to color outside the lines. There's no rules. He laughs. So there's a lot of things you can get there. Connectwithmartin.com.
Brilliant. I'll make sure I put the link in the show notes for that as well, so people can get in touch with you or find you a lot easier.
Right.
Are there any kind of final thoughts that you want to leave us with, Martin, or anything that you want to let people know?
Yeah. How about this one? Something totally off base from out, has nothing to do with business, whatever. Today, walk out into the world and make somebody laugh. Could be a person you know, person you don't know. And then when they laugh, say thank you for helping me fill my quota to make at least one person laugh every day. They're going to look at you and say, what? You do it all the time. You're on the supermarket. You're online. You're whatever. You make a comment and somebody makes a joke. And then you make a joke and somebody laughs. You both forget about it 10 seconds later. But if you now say to that person, thank you for filling my quota, for making somebody laugh, you've made a connection. Right? And then say to them, they go, wow. Oh, wow. They think about it a little bit. Then you tell them, pay it forward. Do it with somebody else.
Love that. That's something you do regular.
Regular, at least once a day.
Love that. Love it. Martin, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show. Really, really appreciate it. Thank you. I'll make sure everybody's got a link to your website in the show notes so they know how to get a hold of you and find you. But it's been an absolute pleasure talking, and all the best in the future.
Thank you so much, Aaron. It's been a pleasure being a guest on your show. Because you know what? They're not like us.
Hey, listeners, if you've been enjoying They Not Like Us, I'd really appreciate it if you could take a moment to leave a positive review and subscribe. It might seem like a small thing, but for an independent podcast like this, it makes a huge difference. Your support helps the show get discovered by more people, allowing us to bring on even more amazing guests and continue sharing content that resonates with you. So if today's episode or any past ones have sparked something in you, hit that subscribe button and drop a quick review. Your feedback keeps this community growing, and I'm so grateful to have you along for the ride. Thanks so much.